Hi, it's Dr. Julie Gilbert here from Oregon Weight and Wellness, along with Rachel. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, everybody.
Um, and we are back, the
Mhm.
dynamic duo, talking about sleep smarter. But before we get into our conversation, I want to point out something on my wall here. Do you see that, Rachel?
I do see it.
Isn't that beautiful?
Beautiful. It's beautiful. I heard that you pointed that out last week when I was out.
Yes. Yeah, I got to
And
point it out again because, and I've been pointing at everyone who comes in. I say, look at my beautiful painting. You know who the painter is? Or the artist is Peter Matthews.
yeah,
Rachel's, yeah.
my
He's,
husband. Yes.
yeah.
We're
So,
so thrilled. We're so glad it
mhm,
matches your wall beautifully. If people could
mhm.
see it up close, you'll have to go to Dr. Gilbert's office to go take a look at it. But
Yeah.
it's also on my husband's website. Yeah. And we're just so happy. And aspens are my favorite tree. It's like
Mm,
my
mhm,
tree. So I love
mhm.
the sense of movement in the leaves, when you hear them rustling in the wind,
Right.
right? There's this sound that
Yes.
they make.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, beautiful.
Yes. We have some aspens on our property, and my favorite thing is to stand underneath them and just listen to the
Yes. Yeah.
well, and I love the bird. The bird it looks so calm, and that's really what I want to project onto people when they come through is just that calmness. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that imagery.
Yeah, bringing back that parasympathetic
Yes.
nervous system and that
Mhm.
calm and rest and things like that. And we're talking about resting
We are
and
in our sleep
resting
smarter journey.
well,
Mhm.
sleeping smarter. It's so
Yeah.
important for our overall health.
Yes.
And we're on chapter 14. Rachel, I didn't like reading this chapter, I got to admit.
I know it's a little convicting, is it not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell
So
us what it
chapter
is.
14 is
Yeah.
go easy on the bottle. And so he's
Yeah.
talking about alcohol and the way that it impacts our sleep.
I
Yeah.
know. I'm going to read his first statement here. Did you know that you can actually get smarter while you sleep? Ooh, it's the truth because that's when your brain really does this magic work.
Yeah.
Gets rid of the toxins that you built up during the day and
Right.
then creates your memories.
Yes.
Right. And guess what alcohol does?
Disrupts your sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've done some little self studies as
Mhm.
I think most scientists and researchers do is they're always testing things on themselves. Right. And so I do some self stuff on this. And I track on my Garmin watch. Right. And then I have
Mhm.
a full like health app and I can see on the nights that I drink alcohol, um, how disrupted my sleep is.
Yeah.
My heart rate is different.
Yeah.
Um, the number of times I'm woken up. And here's the interesting thing: my app and my watch has a stress log. Like it tracks my level of stress.
Mm.
And when on evenings when I've drank, even if I think I'm asleep all night, right? I feel like I'm sleeping. I go to
Right.
bed, I wake up. I'm not hungover or anything like that. But even maybe a couple glasses of something, um, my stress level is increased throughout the night and my heart
Mm.
rate is elevated
Mm.
and it shows I'm moving a whole lot.
Mm.
So I know from my own experience, I'm not getting a solid night's sleep when I drink. Even if, I mean, maybe one glass, probably fine. But anything more than that, I know I can see the difference. And of
Yeah.
course, the more you drink, the worse your sleep is.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That's right. And um, you said something there that really triggers. I mean, that's kind of made me think of something. It'll come back to me, but no, it's true. When you track it, when you really pay attention, and I've done the same thing. Um, you know, uh, for a week. Just really maybe
Yeah.
not with the Garmin, but that's very objective evidence. But just saying, uh, um, yeah, I did not wake up one time last night. I slept through the night. I'm waking up more refreshed. I didn't have any night sweats.
Right.
That kind of thing. So yeah,
Mhm.
if I'm being honest with myself, I
It's
sleep
true.
better when I don't have alcohol. Now,
I oh, go ahead.
the thing that I was going to mention,
Yeah.
sorry, is that you said you think you're sleeping. I mean, you sleep all night,
Mhm.
but it's the quality of your sleep that you don't realize is affected. So because people tell me, well, I can drink caffeine and blah blah until 3 o'clock, and I still go to sleep fine, no problem. We know that we know that we know it's not just the sleeping, it's the quality of the sleep.
Yes.
So yeah.
Exactly. Just because you're asleep does not mean the quality is not disrupted.
Right.
And that the level of, we're supposed to go through those different cycles, right? The deep and the light and the REM. And you may not be hitting all those cycles or for the long enough period of time to have fully restored and repaired sleep, right? Like you mentioned, our brains are repairing. It's getting rid of toxins. Our bodies are healing. That's when our body's trying to do all the fix.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's right. Yeah. So that's exactly right. And we might be even so we might be trying to play catch up or sleep deprived for other reasons, and then we add alcohol on top of this, and so we really can't catch up. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I like that you mentioned this, the night sweats, because I know a lot of people watching, a lot of our patients and things are probably in the perimenopause or menopausal stage of life. And I have also noticed that on the evenings when I have alcohol, I have more night sweats, even just a glass. Yeah. I'm starting to realize there's a connection here. And I get the night sweats, I wake up, hot and disrupted again, because now it's waking me up.
Right.
So
right. And then when I think of what he said earlier in the book about even one disrupted night sleep changes how my insulin works in my body. I'm like, oh, what am I doing?
Right.
Yeah.
And it disrupts your gut microbiome. Yeah. You start to totally disrupt the population in there, all those bugs that we're trying to work so hard to, eat healthy and improve.
Right. But Rachel, I really enjoy a glass of wine.
I know.
So
me too.
Maybe we can find something out in his tips.
Yes, let's do that.
Yeah.
So at the end of every chapter, as always, we review his pro tips or his power tips. And he's got a few here. The first one is having a booze curfew. This is so great. I love that term. What's your booze curfew? And it actually kind of lines up with our eating curfews when we talk about stopping eating, at a good time. His recommendation here is at least 3 hours before going to bed.
Yeah. And this is man, woman. I mean, it's true that men and women process alcohol differently, and he points that out. But everybody, it takes time. The alcohol dehydrogenase doesn't work faster or slower for one person. It's just, it works.
It has to go. Yeah.
It just has to go. And he makes the analogy, or somewhere, maybe I even downloaded his extra resource guide,
Good. Yeah.
And it talks about those alcohol molecules. They have to go through the 1-lane tunnel, one at a time. And if you have, 3 glasses of whatever back here, it's just going to take more time. And there's nothing speeding up that alcohol dehydrogenase. There's nothing that speeds up that enzyme.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I think a really important point that you're making here is, or that it makes me think of, is that based on how you feel, if you say, well, I don't feel buzzed or I don't feel drunk, that's not really the point. The alcohol is still there, no matter how much you had, and it still has to metabolize out. Yes. So you may say, well, I didn't get buzzed or I didn't get drunk or I feel totally fine, but that's not necessarily the right test,
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And he has some, you can put in what time you had a drink and how much you drank and what it was, how much alcohol, and what time, and then if you're male, female, whatever, and your body weight, and then it'll tell you when your blood alcohol will be at 0. So
how
it's
long
kind
it
of
takes.
interesting. Yeah. So for me, if I'm going to have a glass of wine, and I think that constitutes 5 ounces, right? Yeah, I'm going to have to drink that with my dinner, which is fine.
Right. Yeah. And if you're eating your dinner earlier and trying to start your intermittent fasting, your time restricted eating time window, and dinner's around 5 or 6, then do the math. If you're in bed,
and then I can go to bed at 9. Yeah. So I don't have to have a glass of wine every night. So, but then I can feel like, if I do, I really want to have it with my dinner.
Yes. Yeah. And it's nice to pair it with dinner anyway. It's always better to pair drinking with food, slow the impact on the system. And that's another tip he talks about, is having, make it kind of like maybe a personal self rule that you have 8 ounces of water for every glass of alcohol that you drink.
Right.
So
so if you pour a glass of wine, you pour a glass of water.
That's right. And
Water
both
and
have
wine
to come.
together. Yeah.
Water and wine together. And they both have to be finished before you might have another glass if you're going to go for a
Right.
second. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what are let's talk about the portions. What is a
Yeah.
real the right or the appropriate portion?
Right.
You know,
Right.
put out by the CDC and by health guidelines.
Right. Recommendations by, yeah, American Heart Association and things like that. And I think a glass of wine for women are different than men.
Mhm.
And for, so one drink per day for women, I believe, is the limit. That doesn't
Yes.
mean you have to drink that. But that's, the maximum you'd want to.
Mhm.
And then according to these organizing bodies, and then 2 drinks for a man.
That's right.
Per day. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the size of a glass of wine is limited to 5 ounces.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And we were just talking about how the glasses of wine, they're these beautiful goblets, but they're big enough to hold a whole bottle of wine.
Yeah. Right.
And not that I've tried.
No, well, my daughter-in-law who used to work at a vineyard, she was the one that informed me of this, and I said, "There's no way that bottle of wine." And she said, "Oh yeah, check it out." And I said, "Every last drop fit into that." Well, we shared it, of course, but yeah. So you're right. So
yeah, so these glasses are so beautiful and big, but it can feel if you're not used to just seeing 5 ounces, it can feel like it's a tiny, tiny little. It barely, blips in the glass. You have to really swirl it to find it in there, right? So we were just talking about maybe that feels okay for you. Maybe you pour that 5 ounces and it's beautiful and decadent and you're fine with that. But if you're used to drinking more per glass than 5 ounces, and try it out, measure it, get a measuring cup out. And I encourage you to, next time you drink a glass of wine, pour out 5 ounces and look at and see what it really is.
Mm-hmm.
But getting a smaller, they have a lot of these stemless glassware
Right.
that can be smaller, or a small 5 ounce little kind of drink. It's not drinking from a nice, beautiful stemware, but it would feel like you had a fuller glass. Maybe that would not feel so limited.
Yeah, that's right. It's just like eating on a smaller plate. You feel like, oh, my plate's full, versus putting food on same amount of food, big plate. It's not a trick for your brain necessarily, but it just feels, I don't know, less restrictive.
It really does. Yeah, we're visual. We see
we are.
what we're doing. Mm-hmm. So a glass of wine is 5 ounces, and I believe a beer is considered like a can of beer, which is about 12 ounces.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it really does point to, a lot of these really craft beers and these IPAs, they're coming in larger cans, they're coming in 16 ounces. And of course, a lot of times when you go to a brewery, they're going to say, do you want the 16 or the 12 ounce? They give you an option. Now you have 2 sizes. Mm-hmm. So just recognize that if you get that 16 ounce, you're already 4 more ounces in.
Right.
Then so you're 1.5 servings in.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
And for liquor, it's going to be, I believe it's 2 ounces, like a shot of some sort of hard alcohol whiskey.
Yeah. And the thing is, most of the time people are, some people drink that on the rocks, but a lot of times people are adding then sugar along with that. And that's just kind of, that is adding fuel to the fire as far as not, decreasing or just changing up your sleep, because now your body's having not just to do with the alcohol, but it has to deal with all the sugar then that came with that mixed drink. And and alcohol, I think, is a bully, and your liver has to deal with it first, and then it can deal with the sugar.
That's right.
So it takes all, so you're dealing with the alcohol part and now the more carbohydrate part. And and you're really going to wake up at 3:00 in the morning, and after your body's done processing the alcohol, and it's like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
Instead of sleeping.
Right. It can have that effect where you may sleep for 2 or 3 hours and then you wake up kind of wide awake.
Yeah. It is not. Yeah. It's not a sleep aid.
No, great point. It's not a sleep aid. It might help you feel sleepy, but it does not carry you through the evening, through the night.
Right. Yeah. Right. And so I think we've said this before when we were talking through food rules, that really alcohol is not a health food.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be part of a Mediterranean lifestyle
Mhm.
and in socialization and things like that. But, um, yeah, but it really, if we're going to be honest,
Mhm.
and we write risks, benefits,
Right.
pros, cons, the good, the bad.
Mhm.
Yeah. For some people, it might be something that, if you're not, don't, I mean, I wouldn't tell you to drink a glass. If you're not drinking wine, don't start drinking wine for your
Right.
health. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And and to be fair, with that Mediterranean diet, we look to the Mediterranean, we look to these other countries, but for advice, because we're always thinking, oh, that's the better way. But we
Mhm.
have to remember that the modern Mediterranean diet is
Mm.
not the way. If you go to modern day Spain, modern day Italy, and
Right.
a lot of them are eating, the Western American diet.
Right.
They're not
Yes.
eating, right. And the traditional Mediterranean diet was not 2-3 glasses of wine every night.
Right. No.
So you've really got to go back and research the original Mediterranean
Right.
diet. When
Yes.
they did those studies that got those results, what were people really eating, and what were
Yeah.
they?
They weren't having a pound of pasta.
They
Yeah.
were not.
No.
No, they were
Mm-mm.
very, very plant forward.
Mhm.
They had fish, they had olive
Right.
oil. They sat and ate. That's very
Yes.
much a part of
It
it.
was
They enjoyed what they
community.
were doing.
Yeah.
So
Very true.
I think that's all of his
Yeah, yeah.
recommendations.
So I'm really proud of us, Rachel. So I'm going to list off, and I did this last time. I got my friend out of the bedroom. So, yeah, I have been free. I'm free. I'm on the other side of this. Like, what's going to be like if my phone's not right next to me? I'm going to miss all the phone calls and all the fun. And no, now it's more than 6 feet away, and there's been no disaster. The world has not come to an end. The sky did not fall.
That is so great, and you
I
feel
feel so
free.
good.
I love that word you're using. I feel free.
Mhm.
It's you did it.
Yeah, I did. So I
Yeah.
feel really good about that. So yeah, so I've done 6 or 7 things, even though I thought I was sleeping pretty good. I've done 6 or 7 things. The next thing on the list today, and I'm going to blame this on my husband because I told him to do this 3 months ago, but he hasn't done, is those the blackout blinds or
Yeah.
not the curtains, but we're going to do blinds. So
Right.
that's the next step.
That's the next
Yeah.
step. And how are
Mhm.
you feeling? How do you think your sleep is doing as a result?
Yeah. I wake up. It is not hard for me to get out of bed.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what I really want to do, my goal is not have to use
Oh,
an
alarm.
alarm clock at all. I
Yes.
just say, Julie, wake up at whatever, 5:30, 5:15, and I get up.
Yeah.
So
With
that's
strong rhythms and strong routines, and limiting the disruptions, that
mhm,
your body will get into a natural circadian rhythm.
mhm.
It'll be a
Right.
natural. We've all experienced that, right? Where you had a good night's sleep and you went to
Mhm,
bed at the right time and you woke up naturally, and it's the best.
mhm.
It's like,
Yeah.
whoa,
Yeah.
it feels so natural.
Yeah, I woke up natural. I remember, I don't know if you were a Downton Abbey fan, but
Oh,
there
yes.
was one line, Anna, um, very early on in the show, but she's like, "One day I would love to wake up natural." Or she said it's in her beautiful British accent, but
Right, right. Because she
just
was
wake
always
up
being woken
natural.
up by people and
Yeah, right,
right?
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, this is good. It's really helping me. I hope it's helping other people. And yeah, but it's really been good. So having said that, Rachel, what is for dinner for you tonight?
Ooh, what is for dinner? Oh gosh, I haven't even thought of it. I
Mm-hmm.
have a leftover salad. I have a big base salad, like everybody hears
Mm-hmm.
me talking about. I have my big
Yeah.
salad. So I know for sure that'll be part of it. Oh, I know. I was just before we got on, I was looking at my emails and I had an email, a recipe from a plant-based source that I follow, and it's a corn chowder, a plant-based corn
Ooh.
chowder.
Mm.
And the creaminess that you get is from blending up with a stick blender part of the soup and then pouring
Right.
it back in the brothy part. So you're not
Yeah,
adding.
actually, corn can be very milky. Mm-hmm.
Right, very milky. So, and I think there's a basic broth base, right? My veggie
Mm-hmm.
broth and
Yeah.
carrots and onions and all the things, and then
Yeah.
some other
Great.
things. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to try something new.
Wonderful. So I had that same base salad. Yeah. And I love it. I love it, all the
Me
colors in it
too.
and everything like that.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm going to we have some leftover salmon. We cooked a little bit. We had people over for salmon on Tuesday night. So there's some leftover, and I'm going to use it cold, and I'm just going to break it
Mm.
up and maybe make a olive oil dressing
Uh-huh.
um, with my little stick blender. And then,
Um,
yeah. So I actually like cold salmon. Um,
yeah.
mhm.
Yeah,
But
it can be such a great thing to just toss in your salad, like you're saying.
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Mhm.
Especially
Yeah.
if it's maybe left over a day, doesn't
Mhm.
reheat as well, or maybe it overcooks
Right.
if you reheat it.
Yeah.
So toss it in your salad.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. All
Yum.
right. Well, it's been great discussion. So
Yes.
thanks, everyone. And yeah, healthy sleeping to you.
Yes.
All
Thanks,
right.
everybody. See you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye.